You have seen the pilot walking through the airport. Crisp uniform, gold stripes on the shoulder. Everyone assumes he is rich. And at the very top, he is a senior captain, can clear over $500,000 a year. But here is the part nobody posts on the internet. To get there, most pilots first go deep into debt and then fly for years on shockingly low pay. This is the strangest money ladder we have ever looked at because it starts the exact opposite of a trade. The electrician gets paid to learn, the pilot pays a small fortune to learn. Sometimes $100,000 before he earns a single paycheck. And then he grinds through years of low wages just to build up hours. But if he survives that valley, the ladder does something almost no other job does. The pay does not just climb, it explodes. Today we break down every single level of a pilot. The real cost, the real hours, and the real money. From broke student to the captain earning more than most doctors. This is every level of a pilot. Let's take off. The whole career runs on one brutal, beautiful idea. Aviation is a pay big and grind now, cash in massively later ladder. Almost nobody tells you how bad the bottom is or how good the top is. At the bottom, you burn cash and fly for peanuts. At the top, you are one of the highest paid professionals in the country with half the month off. And the thing that moves you up this ladder is not a boss who likes you. It is a number, your flight hours and your seniority. Hours get you in the door. Seniority decides everything after that. Your pay, your schedule, your planes. So keep one rule in your head the whole way up. Pay to get in. Grind for the hours. Then let seniority pay you for decades. Now, let's start at the very bottom. Completely broke. Level 1, the student pilot. This is where the dream meets the credit card. You show up at a small flight school and you start learning to fly a tiny single-engine plane. And unlike almost any other career, nobody's paying you, you are paying them a lot. Every hour in that plane with an instructor costs real money. Your first goal is the private pilot license, and it usually costs around $15,000. That license lets you fly friends and family for fun. It earns you exactly $0. It is basically a very expensive hobby with a test at the end, but it is the doorway, and every pilot on Earth walked through it. At this level, you are learning the real skills, how to take off, navigate, talk on the radio, and land without bending the plane. It is exciting, it is scary, and it is only the beginning of the spending, because a private license cannot pay you. For that, you need to go much deeper and much broker. Level 2, the certificate grind. This is the money pit. To get paid to fly, one license is nowhere near enough. You need an instrument rating to fly through clouds and bad weather. You need a commercial license, which legally lets someone pay you to fly, and usually a multi-engine rating for the bigger planes. Every one of those is more lessons, more flight hours, and more money. By the time you stack it all up, the total cost of becoming a hireable pilot is often around $80,000 to $100,000. Read that again. You can spend as much as a college degree before your first flying paycheck. Most people finance it, so they walk out the other side buried in debt. This is the great filter of aviation. This is where the money scares people off. And here is the cruel twist. You just spend a fortune and you are still not qualified for the airlines. Because the airlines want something money cannot buy directly. They want hours. 1,500 hours of flight time to be exact, and a fresh commercial pilot has only a few hundred. So how do you build 1,000 more hours when nobody good will hire you yet? You take the one job that will. And for the first time, the money finally starts flowing the right way. Level 3, the flight instructor, also known as paying your dues. This is the clever hack the whole industry runs on. You just spent a fortune learning to fly, so now you get paid to teach the next person while you quietly build your hours. Every hour you spend teaching a student counts toward your own 1,500. It is genuinely brilliant. You get paid to grind toward the exact number the airlines demand. But do not celebrate too hard. The pay here is rough. A flight instructor typically earns somewhere around $40,000 to $60,000 a year. After spending $100,000, $40,000 a year feels like a punch in the stomach. This is the valley, the low point of the whole ladder. You are deep in debt. You are exhausted, and you are watching the hours tick up one flight at a time. A lot of people quit right here and never see the money that was waiting on the other side. But the ones who grind it out finally hit the magic number, 1,500 hours. And the day you hit it, the entire game changes. You are no longer begging. Now they are recruiting you. Level 4, the regional airline first officer. This is the moment you walk into the real airline world. You get hired by a regional airline. the smaller carriers that fly shorter routes. You sit in the right seat of a real passenger jet as the first officer, the co-pilot. And for the first time, the paycheck stops hurting. Just a few years ago, regional pay was famously terrible, but a massive pilot shortage flipped the market and airlines had to pay up fast. Now, a first-year regional first officer often earns around $90,000, and it climbs quickly from there. For a job you were doing for $40,000 a year earlier, that is a huge jump. This is where the debt finally starts getting crushed. But make no mistake, this is not the destination. It is the launch pad. Because everyone at the regionals is looking up at the same prize, the major airlines. That is where the money stops being good and starts being life-changing. Level 5, the major airline first officer. This is the big leagues, the large national and international carriers. Getting hired here is the goal that every pilot has been grinding towards since that first expensive lesson. You are still a first officer, still in the right seat, but everything is bigger. Bigger planes, longer routes, bigger paychecks. A first officer at a major airline can earn well over $100,000, and senior ones push past $200,000. And here's where that word from earlier takes over completely: seniority. At an airline, almost nothing is about talent once you are in. It is about your hire date. The longer you have been there, the better you get paid, the better planes you fly, and the better your schedule. So a major airline first officer is playing a patient game. Every year you climb the seniority list, and you are waiting for the one upgrade that puts your name on the biggest paychecks in the building. The fourth stripe, the left seat, captain. Level 6, the captain, the top of the ladder. This is the left seat, the final authority on the aircraft, the 4 gold stripes. And this is where the money stops being a salary and starts being a small fortune. A captain at a major airline commonly earns somewhere between $250,000 and $400,000 a year. And at the very top, a senior captain flying the biggest international jets, the wide bodies that cross oceans, can clear over $500,000. With enough seniority and overtime, the very best push towards $700,000 a year. That is more than most surgeons, from a job that started with a credit card and a tiny propeller plane. And the lifestyle matches the money. Senior captains often work only a couple of weeks a month. They pick their schedules first because they sit at the top of that seniority list. Half the month off, flying jets across the planet, earning more than almost anyone they know. That is the payoff that was hiding on the other side of all that debt and all those low-paid hours. And there are even higher-paid corners most people never see. The cargo pilots flying freight through the night for the big shipping companies are some of the best paid in the entire industry. And the corporate and private jet captains flying billionaires around can earn serious money with a very different lifestyle. Same license, same ladder, a few very different ways to cash out at the top. Now, before we wrap up, there is one path that skips the money pit entirely: the military. If you become a pilot through the armed forces, you do not pay $100,000 to learn. They train you for free on some of the most advanced aircraft on Earth, and they pay you while you do it. The catch is a long service commitment, and the training is brutally competitive to get into. But when those pilots eventually leave the military, they walk straight toward the airlines. They arrive with thousands of hours and world-class training, and often no debt at all. So there are really 2 doors into this career: pay your own way as a civilian or earn your wings in the military and let them foot the bill. Different roads, the same 6-figure destination. So here is the real lesson underneath all the altitude and gold stripes. The pilot ladder is the most extreme version of a rule that runs through money everywhere. Big front-loaded pain can buy an enormous back-loaded reward if you can survive the middle. At the bottom, the pilot paid a fortune and earned nothing. The cost came first. In the valley, he flew for scraps just to collect hours. The grind came second. And at the top, decades of seniority paid him more than he ever imagined. The reward came last, and it was huge. Most people only see the captain with the nice watch and assume he got lucky. They never see the debt, the ramen years, and the 1,500 hours it took to get there. And it is not just pilots. Doctors, founders, and top tradespeople all climb a version of this same curve. Pay or grind up front when it is hardest and least rewarded. Then get paid for years off a position almost nobody else was patient enough to reach. The valley is not the reason to quit. The valley is the reason the top pays so well. Now maybe you are watching this thinking, okay, but how would someone actually begin? Step 1. Before you spend $1 on lessons is a medical certificate, A doctor has to clear you to fly, so you find that out first, not after you are $10,000 in. Step 2 is a discovery flight. For about $100, an instructor takes you up and lets you hold the controls, so you know if you even love it before you bet your savings on it. Step 3 is choosing how to pay for the climb, and this part has quietly changed. Because of the pilot shortage, some airlines now run cadet programs that help fund your training in exchange for you flying for them later. That is a huge deal. It means the brutal $100,000 money pit is not the only door anymore. And step 4 is simply accepting the shape of the road. Expensive and slow at the bottom, enormous at the top. The people who make it are not the most talented. They are the ones who did not quit in the valley. So what can you actually take from this, even if you never touch a cockpit? 1. Look at the whole ladder before you judge a job by its bottom rung. A brutal start can hide an incredible top. 2. In a lot of careers, the real money is not talent. It is seniority and patience. Getting in early and staying beats being brilliant and quitting. 3. Some of the best paid careers on earth begin by going into debt on purpose. The trick is knowing the payoff is real before you leap. Pay or grind, then survive the valley, then let seniority pay you for decades. That is the whole climb. The captain earning $500,000 was never lucky. He was just still there when everyone else had quit in the valley. If you want to see every level of another job and exactly what it really pays, subscribe. We break down every level of every career and every dollar, drawn simply. Now go find your own runway. I will see you in the next one.